Good morning, boys and girls. Well, here we are again, and what is special about this week? Let me get my mask off. What happens the end of this week? Can you tell me? You're right, it's Christmas Day. It's when we celebrate the birth of Jesus. So you're gonna have a busy week at school and then at home, and everybody's excited. And your Christmas tree's probably up, and you probably have a manger scene. Mrs. Deitz has lots of manger scenes. You can see a little bit of a great big one up here, and then she has some little ones. Can you see who would this be in the manger? Is that the baby Jesus? And we have Mary and Joseph, and we don't have all the wise men or all the shepherds, but we have one of each, because this is just a little manger scene. And it helps us remember that Christmas Day is the birth of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Now, today we have one story to read, and with Christmas coming up, what do you think that story is going to be about? Well, let's see what it's about, and let's see who all celebrates Christmas. The name of the story is The Song of the Stars. Can you see the animals? Well, that gives us one clue. We have lots of animals here. So this is going to be maybe another story about animals at Christmas. And what's this up here? What do we always think about? You're right, it's a star, and it's a bright star that shone down on the baby's crib. Let's see what this book tells us and what this author says about Christmas. Now remember, Mrs. Deitz will have to hold it and then turn it around like this for you to see the pictures. This one's a little bit longer, so she'll kind of have to spread her hand out to turn it around. The world was about to change forever, and it almost went by unnoticed. But the leaves that night rustled with a rumor. News rang out across the open fields. A song drifted over the hills. So we have all the hills and the ground and the land hearing something special is going to happen. The wind whispered it softly in the sycamore trees that waved their moonlit branches to the sky. You know how the trees wave their branches? And sometimes they kind of make a noise when they wave their branches. A barn owl took flight. Woodland creatures stirred. It's time, it's time. Can you say that with me? It's time, it's time. See the birds and the owl and the trees? I wonder what it's time for. In the pine woods, 2 deer raised their heads. A big brown bear sniffed the air. A red fox darted. The faces of little flowers lifted to the skies. Get ready and say it with me. It's time, it's time. See, they're getting excited. The skies shouted it to the seas, that thundered it to the waves, that roared it to the great white whales, that sang it to the starfish in the deep. And tiny sandpipers danced it on shining sands. See all the sea animals? Get ready and say it with me. It's time, it's time. The running rivers bounded over boulders, and the otters clapped and played and sang to the ducklings that splashed and quacked to the salmon that leaped and leaped. Look at all of the sea animals and the land animals that live beside the water. And tiny field mice and insects and little creeping things and sparrows and robins, and every single blade of grass squeaked and hummed and chirped and sang. Say it with me. It's time, it's time. See, they're all getting excited and they're saying, it's time. Wild stallions drummed it on the ground. Get ready, be glad, be glad. See the wild stallion running? On a lonely peak, a lion raised his strong head and roared it out to the empty wilderness. The mighty king, the Prince of Peace. See the lion roaring out. Say that with me. The mighty king, the Prince of Peace. All the stars joined together in a chorus that sang out through the heavens, the bright and morning star. And on a hillside overlooking a little town, sheep nestled their new lambs. The Good Shepherd. Look at this picture of this little town. Suddenly, angels lit up the whole sky, and a great choir sang out loud, it's time, it's come, at last he's here. And in the little town, in a little shed, in a little window, a candle flickered in the dark. See all the angels over the town? Do you remember what the town was called? This is the town of Bethlehem, and all the sheep looking down at the town, and all of the angels singing, it's time, he's come, at last he's here. And a tiny cry rang out in the cold night air. Excuse Mrs. Deitz. Let her fix this and then we'll read this page again, okay? And a tiny cry rang out in the cold night air, and high above a single star, set in the highest heavens, shone out brighter than all the others, and poured down silver onto the little shed, a light to light up the whole world. See the star on the shed and the animals? Who do you think is in this shed? The animals stood around his bed, and the whole earth and all the stars and sky held its breath. The one who made us has come to live with us. See, they're all looking here at the baby. And a young mother with no place to rest, nowhere to stay, kept it as a song inside her heart. Our rescuer. Look at the young mother and the animals. Who is this young mother? Do you remember her name? That's right. Her name is Mary, and she's holding her baby, Jesus. That is God's Son. And they gazed in wonder at God's great gift. Lying on a bed of straw, wrapped in rags, a tiny little baby. See the baby? Heaven's Son, sleeping under the stars that he made. And here we have the baby Jesus with Mary and Joseph, God's Son that Mary and Joseph would raise and take care of, and that we would love and feel his love. Boys and girls, I hope you have a Merry, Merry Christmas, and that you and your family enjoy the time together. Mrs. Deitz will see you after the holidays, and she will be back with another story in January, which will be a new year, 2022. You have a wonderful holiday, boys and girls. Goodbye.